If you look in the history books of who the greatest leaders are, Caesar Augustus would be certainly one of them. He was established peace in his kingdom for years. The structure of roads that he built is still there today, of course, obviously repaved and things like that. But he put together a constitution and a government that still pretty much exists today, all these years later. Also, there was Virgil, Homer, and great historians were in that same period as well. He was truly a great ruler, but I couldn't help but think, as I was reading this article about Caesar Augustus, in that same period, another king was born, wasn't it? Another king. And look at the difference. They couldn't have been more different. Caesar Augustus and Jesus. How they lived, where they were born, and how they died. What kind of king was he? We celebrate that today, Jesus as king. What kind of king was he? And what does he expect from us? Those are the two normal questions we always ask, don't we? What kind of king, and what do they expect from us? Because we're like under him. Joseph Mallard Turner, he's an English painter. And he was having some art students question him about one of his paintings, and he labeled this painting "The Storm at the Sea." And you can Google it. It's quite a dramatic painting, and it's extremely realistic. But the art student said to him, "How did you make this storm so realistic?" He said, "It was easy. It was easy." He said, "I went to the coast of Holland, and I asked the fishermen to take me out. And we encountered a storm. And I asked the captain to tie me to the mast, as high as we go on the mast. As I was tied to that mast," he said, "the storm raged with fury." He said, "I longed to be anywhere in this earth except for that mast in which I was tied." He said, "Not only did I see the storm raging," he said, "I felt the wind, I felt the waves, and I felt that storm in its raging fury." He said, "It not only blew into me, but he said, I was part of it." After this terrible ordeal, he said, "I returned to my studio and painted it, and painted it." And I think we could probably say the same for that, can't we? That's what kind of king he is. That's what kind of king. And that's what he did for you and I, my friends. And what does he expect from us? What does he expect? A few years ago, the American embassy in Beirut was bombed, and 250 Americans were killed and many more were wounded. And there was a picture of General Paul Kelly leaning over a young Marine, and you've probably seen it. He was blinded by the explosion, and he had a ventilator in his throat, so he couldn't speak, and nor could he see, of course. But General Kelly bent over him, and you see the soldier reaching up, touching his shoulder, and of course, on his shoulder were 4 stars. So he felt that, and he knew who it was. 2 days later, it was the Marine's birthday, and General Kelly came back to him to wish him a happy birthday. And he said to that young soldier, he said, "Son, we are so proud for what you have given the nation." And the young man couldn't speak, but he motioned for paper and pencil. And on it, he simply wrote 2 words, the insignia of the Marines: "Semper Fidelis," always faithful. And that's what the king expects of us, doesn't he? Always faithful. And isn't that what any king would expect any of his people to be? Always faithful. And so today, my friends, next week we start into the beautiful season of Advent. May we take those 2 words, Semper Fidelis, and may they always be part of our lives and in our hearts. God bless you.